You know, we grow up hearing that heart attacks look like what we see in movies. A man clutching his chest, sweating, collapsing to the floor. But here's the thing, no one really talks about, especially for women. The signs. They're sneakier, quieter, and sometimes they don't even show up where you'd expect. That's why today's conversation is so important, especially if you're in your 60s or getting close. Because the truth is, heart disease isn't just a man's problem. In fact, it's the leading cause of death for women over 60. And too many of us miss the early warning signs, not because we're ignoring them, but because no one ever told us what to watch for. Have you ever brushed off feeling unusually tired, blaming it on a busy week or poor sleep? Or maybe you've had some indigestion after a meal and thought, oh, it's probably something I ate. What if I told you that both of those could be early clues from your heart? Clues that too many women overlook until it's too late. That's why I want to sit down with you today, like two friends chatting over coffee, and talk honestly about these hidden signs. Not to scare you, but to empower you. Because knowing what to look for could mean catching trouble early and getting the care you deserve. One of the first signs I want to share with you is something many women never connect to their heart. Unexplained fatigue. Not the usual tiredness after gardening or chasing grandkids. I'm talking about a bone-deep exhaustion. A heaviness that doesn't quite make sense. Maybe you notice you're more winded than usual walking up the stairs, or you need to rest after tasks that never used to drain you. I remember a dear friend of mine, Susan, she's 67 now, telling me how she'd been feeling just off for weeks. She kept saying, I guess I'm just getting older. But something inside her whispered that it wasn't normal. Thankfully, she spoke up at her next doctor's appointment, and it turned out her heart was working overtime because of a blockage. Her fatigue wasn't just age, it was her heart asking for help. That's why I always tell women, listen to those whispers from your body. If you're more exhausted than usual and it's not going away with rest, pay attention. Your heart could be waving a little red flag, another hidden sign that often goes unnoticed. Jaw, neck, or upper back, discomfort. Now, we're used to hearing about chest pain when it comes to heart attacks, but for many women, the pain shows up somewhere else entirely. Maybe it feels like a dull ache in the jaw, or a tightness across the shoulders, or even a sensation of pressure in the upper back that comes and goes. Here's the tricky part. These pains don't always feel severe. They're easy to brush off. Oh, I probably slept funny. Maybe I pulled something lifting groceries. But when those sensations happen alongside other unusual symptoms, like shortness of breath or nausea, it's time to take them seriously. I want you to imagine this. You're standing in your kitchen, stirring a pot of soup, and you notice a strange heaviness creeping into your neck and jaw. You pause, wondering if it's tension from a long day, but something feels different. That's the moment to check in with yourself. And if it's combined with feeling lightheaded, sweaty, or breathless, don't wait. Call for help. Because here's what we know. Women's heart attack symptoms are more likely to be misdiagnosed or dismissed even by well-meaning doctors. And that's why we have to be our own best advocates. The last sign I want to touch on in this first part is something really subtle, but powerful. It's the feeling of sudden anxiety or a sense of impending doom. I know it sounds dramatic, but many women who've survived heart attacks describe a wave of panic that came out of nowhere, like their body knew something was wrong before. Their mind caught up. If you ever feel this way, paired with other unusual physical symptoms, trust it. It's better to check it out and find nothing than to stay silent and miss a chance to get help. I know this might feel like heavy stuff, but remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these hidden signs, you're giving yourself the gift of awareness. You're taking control of your health, one choice at a time. And the beautiful part? Every time you pay attention, every time you advocate for yourself, you're modeling strength for the people around you, for your daughters, your sisters, your friends. You're showing them that caring for our hearts is not just about living longer, it's about living better. You know, as we keep peeling back the layers of how our bodies speak to us, It's striking how often we're told to push through or tough it out. But when it comes to heart health, those quiet signals deserve our full attention. Another sign that flies under the radar for so many women is something as simple as nausea or lightheadedness. I know, those symptoms sound like they could be caused by so many other things. Maybe you think you ate something that didn't agree with, or maybe you chalk it up to dehydration, especially on a warm day. But here's the catch. For women, a heart attack can mimic digestive problems in ways we don't expect. Imagine this. You're out for brunch with friends, laughing, sipping coffee, and suddenly you feel queasy, maybe a little clammy. You excuse yourself thinking, oh, maybe it's something I ate. But then the queasiness doesn't pass. You feel a little dizzy. Maybe a cold sweat starts to beat at your forehead. It's subtle, but it's unsettling. These are the moments where checking in with your body could change everything. If nausea, lightheadedness, or breaking out in a cold sweat happen without an obvious cause, and especially if they're paired with discomfort in your chest, back, or jaw, it's time to call for help. Don't wait to see if it goes away. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where women waited hours, sometimes days, thinking they had the flu or indigestion, when in fact, their heart was in trouble. And that leads me to another hidden sign that often gets overlooked: shortness of breath, even without chest pain. This one's tricky, because we expect a heart attack to come with dramatic chest pressure. But for women, it doesn't always play by the textbook. You might notice you're getting winded walking up the driveway, or carrying groceries feels harder than usual. Or you're lying in bed and suddenly feel like you can't quite catch your breath. One woman I spoke to told me she started feeling breathless just folding laundry, something she'd done 1,000 times before without a second thought. But that day she had to sit down and rest halfway through. Thankfully, she didn't brush it off. She called her daughter, who urged her to get checked out. It turned out her heart was struggling silently. And that early intervention likely saved her life. Isn't it wild how our bodies drop these breadcrumbs? Little hints, small changes, a sense that something's not quite right. But because they don't look like the dramatic movie heart attacks, we dismiss them. Or worse, we feel guilty for making a fuss. That's why I want you to really take this in. You are never a bother for listening to your body. You are never being dramatic for getting checked out. You are being wise. You are being proactive. You are choosing to honor this beautiful body that's carried you through so many chapters already. Take a moment with me right now. Place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating steadily beneath your palm. That rhythm is your life force. It's your strength, your courage, your stories, and it deserves care. If any of these signs resonate with you, fatigue, discomfort in unusual places, nausea, breathlessness, I encourage you to bring them up with your doctor. Even if they turn out to be nothing serious, the peace of mind is worth it. And if they do uncover something, you've caught it early enough to act. We're not here to live in fear. We're here to live in awareness. To move forward empowered, informed, and ready to take each day with curiosity and confidence. And friend, there's still more to explore together. There are other subtle signs we need to talk about, signs that often go unnoticed, but could hold the key to protecting your heart and your future. You know, the more we talk about these hidden signs, the clearer it becomes that heart attacks don't always announce themselves with a loud knock. Sometimes they slip in quietly, disguised as ordinary discomforts. Another symptom that often flies under the radar, especially for women, is pain or discomfort in the jaw, neck, or upper back. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jaw pain, neck pain, that sounds more like a dental issue or a pulled muscle. And that's exactly why so many women miss it. Picture this. You're watching TV in the evening, feeling a dull ache in your neck or a strange pressure in your jaw. You stretch a little, maybe rub the area, assuming you slept funny or strained something earlier. But that discomfort lingers, maybe even spreads down into your shoulder or up into your ear. And here's the thing. It might not be a pulled muscle at all. For some women, these are the early whispers of the heart asking for help. I remember hearing from a woman named Ellen who shared her story at a heart health event. She said she kept feeling this odd heaviness at the base of her neck, like someone was pressing their thumb into it. It wasn't painful exactly, just weird. She almost skipped her checkup that week but decided to mention it to her doctor, just in case. Long story short, that little conversation led to tests that uncovered a blockage. Ellen ended up getting treated before a heart attack happened. Isn't that incredible? A simple question, a small heads up. It made all the difference, and I want you to know you deserve that same attention, that same care. Now there's another subtle sign I want to talk about, and that's unexplained sweating, especially cold sweats. Of course, sweating has lots of causes. Maybe it's a warm day, maybe you've been moving around. But if you're suddenly sweating heavily without a clear reason, or you feel clammy and chilled at the same time, don't ignore it. Think back. Have you ever broken out in a sweat while just sitting quietly? Or felt like the air turned muggy, even though everyone else seemed fine? That kind of sweating, especially if it pairs with nausea, dizziness, or chest discomfort, could be your body's alarm bell. One woman shared with me that she felt like she'd walked into a steam room, her skin slick with sweat, her heart racing a little. She thought it was a hot flash or maybe nerves, but something told her to check it out, and thank goodness she did. The thing about heart attacks in women is they're often less dramatic and more diffuse. Instead of that elephant on the chest feeling we see in movies, it's a collection of smaller signals. Signals that, if we're not tuned in, we might dismiss. And let's be honest, we've been conditioned to minimize our discomfort. To say, I'm fine, to tough it out. But friend, listening to your body isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Take a deep breath with me right now. Feel your chest rise, your shoulders relax. That's your reminder that every beat, every breath, every moment of awareness is a gift. And there's still one more sign I want to share with you. One that might surprise you. It's one of the sneakiest of all, and it could be the clue that saves a life. As we've uncovered these quiet, surprising signals, I hope you're feeling empowered rather than afraid, because knowledge doesn't weigh us down. It gives us tools. And here's one last sign I want you to know about, a sign that's often brushed aside as just getting older. It's extreme, unexplained fatigue. I'm not talking about feeling tired after a long day or worn out from chasing grandkids around. I mean a deep bone-level exhaustion that sneaks up without a clear cause. You wake up tired, you feel drained, doing small tasks, or maybe you just can't seem to shake that heavy feeling in your body. A friend of mine, Maria, shared her experience with me over coffee last year. She said she started noticing that walking up the stairs left her winded in a way it never had before. Folding laundry felt like lifting bricks. She joked about needing more coffee, but deep down, she knew something wasn't right. That quiet whisper of fatigue. That wasn't just life catching up with her. It was her heart asking for attention. Doctors say women are more likely than men to experience fatigue as a primary symptom of heart trouble. And because we're so used to powering through tiredness, it's easy to dismiss. But friend, please don't ignore it. If you find yourself unusually exhausted, if you feel like everyday activities are harder than they used to be, pay attention. Especially if that fatigue comes along with other subtle signs, nausea, shortness of breath, lightheadedness. Your body is wise, and it's speaking to you, even in whispers. Here's the beauty in all this. The more we listen, the more we stay ahead. You are not overreacting for calling your doctor. You are not making a fuss for mentioning your symptoms. You're standing up for your health. You're standing up for your future. And that future, it's worth fighting for. Every sunrise, every laugh, every hug from the people you love. So as we close this conversation today, I want you to carry something with you. You are not invisible. Your symptoms are not less important because you're a woman. You are worthy of attention, of care, of answers. If you recognize any of these signs, jaw or neck discomfort, unexplained sweating, nausea, chest pressure, fatigue, listen, speak up, act, because the story of your heart, it's still being written, and I want it to be full of joy, of adventures yet to come. of mornings where you feel strong, present, and alive. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope today's video gave you clarity, courage, and hope. If it did, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced any of these symptoms, or known someone who has? Let's keep this conversation going, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone you care about. You never know whose life you might touch. Here's to you. Here's to your heart. Here's to living boldly, beautifully, and fully every single day.